From all-out war to fighting Vikings, we continue this epic adventure to over the world. Today, I played through another 100 years, and everything I did had an impact world around. The deadly war continued over the years, levelling and firing until we can't anymore. A lot of effort went into our war recruitment at home, swordsman and trebuchet. The onslaught continued on and on. The whole point of the pressure was about full suppression. You mess with me, I ruin you. Simple. In year 204, the 3 dragons arrived. Luckily, they flew over other rulers first. We were so busy fighting that we didn't even realise we were wiping out the dragon. We said hello to the merchant once more and made a quick buck. Also, bought up all the fish they had. We then focused a few piers around the base, followed by a few more walls. Pressure was still pushing. Queen Puset showed up and wanted to enter the jousting competition. I even let her win, just because I'm a lovely guy. I was having a whole lot of fun just commanding the destruction of King Mathan's lands. Everything was collapsing in his realm. Whilst I have been enjoying myself, I didn't realise that the Vikings had tried to gain a foothold on my shores. The rain of arrows was glorious, and they really didn't stand a chance past a few steps in. Once again, proving I am a beast. The control over Mathan right now was just 3 trebuchets. They had him completely frozen in time. It was fun. Back on homeland, we had massed quite the army. We began the elimination preparation. Over on Guan, it seemed this island was a bit of a lost cause for now. Anyway, back to it. Trebuchets, do your thing. Year 208. Our merchant mate arrived to buy. On Mathan's island, he had pretty much cleared out everything outside of the keep except from his remaining food source. Back at home, we loaded more troops. I continued periodic check-ins and the peasants seemed pretty happy. We seemed to still be struggling for meat storage, so I went ahead and got another butcher commissioned, edging ever closer to the prize of King Mathan's head. Oh dear, I was wondering when this would happen. King Mathan sent Queen Puset to beg for peace. I told her it's not possible and our relationship began to suffer. Let's put more walls in. And prepare a zone for more archer towers. Our current gold needs were being propped up by the merchant. Our growth had stunted our food reserves, so I spent a little time getting some farms in place. We needed to keep the reserve troops coming ready for the big push. This meant training a load more troops. We loaded everything we could and 5 boatfuls of troops ready. The time had come to try and use the space left to us as best as possible. We started filling all the water inside the base. With the troops loaded up, it was time to send them over to finish the job. Well, look at that. 2 dragons fancy a go of the almighty begrudged defences, do they? On they fly into an incredible sight, ballistas and arrows. They pelted them before they had a chance to do any real damage. Down you go, you scaly freaks. Through the waters we shall sail, defeat anything in our way. Unloaded on the shores, we moved the boats out. Forward, let's go! We quickly pressed forward and started to wipe out everything in our path. Burning, pillaging and making our way inland. The walls were open and the remaining goal set. We were in. As we moved in, we came under fire from the towers. We pressed straight on to the keep and aimed to take it down. Back at home, the Vikings were encircling our island and trying to shoot at our walls. It didn't take long for our defences to sink some ships. With our army all but lost from the attack, we opened up training to amass a force once more. And some more layers of walls. The last lot of water coverage was commissioned too. Another cool 1k was made from the merchant ship. Over on Guan, it was sad. Only 3 peasants remain. Oh well, more towers on the southwest corner going in. And the south area. There was also a need to scale healthcare. At my main keep, I realised that settlers could be trained. This is our last hope. Walls and piers continue to expand. As our population grows, so does the need for more bathhouses. A great use of the pier section. It was time to pop in and say hello to our advisors. Agriculture wants more storage. Foresters need storage and military want more defences. More than we have is crazy. I took on the advice and got a stockpile for our loggers. Our settlers weren't being trained, so I rearranged the jobs. Settlers were on their way. Population increase may help it grow. Advisors' advice in mind, we took to adding in more walls. Alright, here comes the dragon. Let's see how you get on, big boy. Thing got annihilated. I was queuing up more work on walls than what I knew what to do with. It was also time to try and increase fish count. Here comes our lovely lady friend with a diplomat. Out of nowhere, more Vikings. Queen Puset's diplomat arrived. And after a swift meal, she was asking to pay me gold on behalf of King Mathan to end the war. I couldn't allow this, and unfortunately, our relationship fell a little bit more. Vikings came sailing once more, and we watched gleefully as we pelted into oblivion. My amazement, they had managed to breach us on the northeast corner. I was too busy enjoying sinking their ships, clearly. Didn't take us long to quell them, though. Off the back of the blind side from the Vikings, I went ahead and planned out plenty more walls, and even chucked in a new ballista tower for good measure. Population and nearing capacity. More cottages, please. Let's give them a new library too. With damage occurring, it was time to employ more masons. Let's scout the middle island to see what's going on. Well, look at that! 1,000 people in our beautiful kingdom. Time has come to take over the middle island. I sent the exploration ship over. The island was mine. Let's build. Thanks for letting me know this. It all began with mass chopping of trees. First path's done. Then a few hovels and a well. We needed to chop and clear as much larger area to plan more. 2 more hovels placed. Then a couple of farms. Back at home, the merchant ship arrived. Let's sell. It was time to slowly start loading up our ships once more. Back on the new island, a stockpile. Then some more chopping and an orchard. I also prepped a total of 8 farms. Then, our first cottage. Stones would also be required to grow, as well as storing food. Main forces prepped, sent them over. We unloaded our army once more on the Mathan's shores. We had attempted to build out again. Bless him. Let's clear it and move on. It was time to press forward onto the keep once more. We marched forward and began throwing whatever we could at it. Slowly, its durability lowered. Our swordsmen acted as a human meat shield and quickly went down. They did, however, give our siege equipment just enough time to pelt it into the ground. King Mathan put up a good defense, but he was no match for the might of Begrudged. Death to King Mathan. Made a little effort to try and house the remaining population, but there really wasn't much hope for them. At our main island, the merchant arrived once more. With pressure from Vikings looming, it was time to reinforce the new island. On my main island, I had the idea to try and fertilise a little more land within the walls. I began queuing up and trunking more water over our walkways to achieve this. I also continued to scale the walls all around my settlement. Never be high enough. Troops were in place on the new island, so let's expand. Oh look! More Vikings! Don't know why they keep trying, bless them. They land at our stronger side, march and punch with the large golems against our walls. They managed to break down one set, but quickly met their end. This prompts me to start scaling the walls extremely high. Still trying, I see, yet sunk once more. They then managed to squeeze in 2 more manor houses. With the increase in water need, it was time to place another Noria to pump water. Tried to fit it all over the island and eventually was able to on the west coast. Then spent some time clearing the remaining trees. This would allow me to trunk the aqueduct efficiently. Back on our new island, I commissioned a new cottage. On Begrudge Main, I got a little excited and started scaling the walls to the heavens. I even got an achievement for efforts. I did the same for each side of our settlement. Over on the centre island, it was time to get fish. Out of nowhere, Queen Puset arrived telling me how she wanted to play in our theatre. I told her my peasants won't like it and she got sad and stormed off. For context, here's how crazy our walls are going to look. The one new Noria wasn't enough, so I got another in as well as some piers to trunk the aqueduct. On the little island, it was all about being patient and slowly expanding. I demolished the hovels and put in a manor house. And then, the first pub. Back at home camp, I trunked the new aqueduct once more. The new manor house needs coal. The Vikings were sailing in on year 250. We pelted their boats hard whilst they were sailing. And some units got melted on our shores. Again, they probably would need to triple their forces if they want to try and breach me. They had landed a siege unit on our new small island, but our forces were ready. The archers rained arrows on them until their demise. With the raid defended, it was time to plan for expansion. As well as kill more fiends as they pressed our walls. Once again, more expansion and housing on the new island. As ridiculous as it looked, the main island just needed higher walls to cover everything. Followed by a bunch more supporting walls. The new island also got a clinic, its first fishmonger, and a swineherd. Food and health is life. The beginning of the walls began to slowly form also. 42 population on the new island. That means time for a quarry. Look! My favourite. Here she is, once more. This time to tell me it was her birthday. I'd gotten bored with pandering to her though, so I told her I wasn't interested and sent her on her way. By now the growth was good on the new island and we continued to push the population and food production. I was at the walls again and raising another section to be able to cover more defence. This section would allow me to cover the water as they sailed by. On King Mathan's island we had taken, all the population had died off and honestly, I didn't care. I reduced the island to rubble. We'll look toward expanding here at a later date. The baby island continued to grow. Up the walls go. Eastern zone of the city was still fairly vulnerable, so it was time to make a change that would fix these problems. Time to also place piers on the little island. At times I kind of felt bad for the dragons as they flew over, watching the ballistas slam into them and chunk out health each time. Ooh, that must be painful. The time had come to amass an army of stupid proportions. Not sure why yet though. I queued up 10 swordsmen and 10 catapults. The time of the Vikings was upon us once more, and this time the numbers were pretty impressive. They had somehow calculated what the best angle of attack was into my kingdom too. As they pounded on the walls, the arrows rained down, and the swordsmen stood ready to lay their life for the defence. Persevered while taking no casualties, just some damaged walls once more. You've earned your ale today, lads. Quickly sought to bolster the defences on this section, as this was a lesson to not lose to. More passed through and met a wet end. Back to work. Fun is over. Baby Begrudged gets its first blacksmith. Walls, 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 and some more. It's a cycle of growth and stone. I also found a bit of room at the end of the kingdom for housing, as well as their very own pub. On Baby Begrudged, it was time for a library and a new manor house. Straight into more walls and pier pieces. Just look at this army accumulating. Pretty scary in size. Baby Begrudged was on 80 population now. So here's how Begrudged is looking. Crazy to see where we are compared to where we were. One word. Powerful. No rest for the wicked though. Yes, you guessed it. As always, we balance our stock with the trade. Okay, here we go. Let the drama commence. Queen Puset has decided to stop trade with me. With tensions rising, it's important to build up Baby Begrudged. I think my walls are just getting out of control. I was actually trying my best to make it not look so weird. All in good time. Baby Begrudged was on 110 population so far. Growth was good. As it increases, so does our ability to improve iron. On that note, more food too. And a nice quick sale once again. It was year 272, and now the Vikings had spotted yet another weakness in our lines. The funny thing though was that they couldn't quite see the sheer amount of troops we had stationed and that were ready to fight behind the walls. Pelting, slicing and bludgeoning, we take them down and clear the threat swiftly. Over on Baby Begrudged, a few Vikings also tried their luck. Fortunately, our infantry was ready. Just to ruin the relationship some more, I tell Queen Puset that I can't help her after the Viking invasion. She is soon to be an enemy. Anywho, let's expand the baby. And let's further improve the area the Vikings attacked so that we receive no more breaches. I also further utilised every section available for more food. Baby Begrudged expansion is slow and steady. I think the goal is a couple of hundred population on Baby Begrudged. Stack it up! Right, time to move the graveyard. We can now fit more orchards in. Baby Begrudged gets a new swineherd. And a butcher. Alright, time to slowly load the boats with troops. Baby Begrudged was becoming toddler begrudged. Alright, let's sell all the stone and coal. And you guessed it, more walls. Once again, I refuse to help Puset after the Viking attack. It's almost time for war. I'm quite literally going to build the walls until it's not possible to build them anymore. There were a few Viking ships once again landing and trying their luck. They barely damaged anything and got completely annihilated. Another one landed, and before they could walk, they were almost flattened. Year 284, and Baby Begrudged needed more piers. As soon as the piers were built, more walls for Baby. On year 286, it was time for a statue of some random queen. Walls! The time had come. I declared war on Queen Puset. I was blood hungry. With war on the doorstep, let's reinforce the small island. Soldiers offloaded and ready. Merchant arrives once more and I make a bunch of cash. Time for a new swineherd outside the walls. With change, I replaced the lumberjack at Begrudged. Then got rid of the remaining trees inside. With all of the space created, I was able to get 2 new swineherds and a butcher's in. It was year 293 and Baby Begrudged needed a new tavern. And the next tree felling was plotted for expansion. It was about time to get a forester placed. Alright, enough of the fun. Back to the wall building sim. Okay, Vikings. Well, this one was a little more spicy, that's for sure. A mixture of golems and infantry landed on our shores and made a push for the walls. The arrows flew and planted themselves deep into the never-ending row of death upon us. They pressed, we shot. Down they fell and up we rose. Another pile of Viking bodies for the afterlife. We rebuilt what was knocked down and also scaled up the existing even higher into the sky. Back on Baby Begrudged, prepped more defences. We were on 171 population. Alright, think it's time. We readied the men in the boats, set out for Puset's island. Biggest fight of our lives begins here. Let's go! Once we were in, we pillaged, burned, razed every important defensive structure to the ground that was in our way. From towers to hospitals, level it all! Our trebuchets fired on the buildings whilst our swordsmen defended from the reinforcing soldiers. The plan was simple: halt growth and trap her. It was just the catapults left, but we had killed her entire army. We targeted all different buildings with each to maximise the damage done. Here she is, begging for a ceasefire. No chance, lady. I've got plenty more in the tank. Shot after shot, we continued to blast her buildings and units as they came. Look at this open space we have created. Year 299 and I'm ready to wipe you off the face of the earth. We slowly crept inland, continuing the onslaught throughout. Everything she threw at me got destroyed and slowly the buildings became no more. I could taste the victory. But not quite.